Hello everyone. Welcome to my Venus Through the Signs series, and this is going to be a little different than what you're used to, okay? So in Western astrology, the signs and the movement of the planets along the ecliptic is called the zodiac. In Hindu astrology, the zodiac is called Kala Purush, which means time man or time personified. And sometimes he is depicted with doing a fierce backbend with his feet touching the back of his head. And so that's kind of like he's making an ecliptic. And he's in a circular or elliptical form. Now, in this system, the body parts describe and illuminate the signs in a wonderfully predictable fashion, which I'm going to explain. And in the case of Venus, so every planet has a first house, so to speak, okay? And I'm starting with Venus just because everybody loves Venus, you know, that's the main thing I'm asked. Everybody wants to know about relationships. So that's why I'm starting with Venus. But then I'm going to do the moon, which is very important in the Hindu system and also in the Western system. And then the sun and Jupiter and the rest of the planets. Okay. But so anyway, each graha or each planet has a natural first house. And that first house for Venus or that first house for any of the planets really, is the Moolatrikona sign. And the Moolatrikona sign means root trine, or Moolatrikona means root trine. And that is the source of power for the planet. It's like the node of that planet, where the energy, because the planets came first, they have divine consciousness according to Parashara. And the signs do not have divine consciousness. They have animal consciousness, or they don't actually have consciousness. They add all of the descriptions and the qualities to the planet and the house there, or the house that falls within them. So first you have the planets, and say you have Venus. And Venus is coming into the zodiac. It's putting its energy into the zodiac. Where does that energy begin? Where is the point in the zodiac where that energy comes in? The very first point, that's Libra. That's the Moolatrikona sign. Now, not the entire sign is considered Moolatrikona, but for these purposes, for what I'm going to explain, I'm using the full sign. And for Venus, that is Libra. Now, some signs, usually the Moolatrikona sign is the masculine sign of the planet, but in this case, but that's not always the case. There's some planets that that doesn't happen. Okay, so the starting point, the natural first house for Venus is Libra. Okay, so this is where the energy begins in the time man for Venus, and so the body parts of Libra, according to Parashara, now this is all in Parashara, is the hip and kidney area, okay, the pelvic triangle, if you will. And one of the names of Venus in Sanskrit, they actually have several names for Venus, but one of the names is Virya, or Virya. And that means concentrated vitality, and it also translates into semen. Now, the Virya gives robustness, strength, and vitality to a person. And in Eastern medicine, the kidneys are the area where the Virya resides, okay? And Venus rules over that. Now, Libra also rules the internal sexual organs, whereas Scorpio rules the external sexual organs where there is no bone or muscle to protect them. That's why Scorpio is very much a sign of vulnerability. But the internal organs, the internal sexual organs like the uterus and the ovaries are all in that pelvic triangle, okay, which is ruled by Libra, which is the natural seventh house, okay? And so, having said that, In addition to reading a planet in a sign due to the sign's natural characteristics, a planet can also be examined from the root trine or Moolatrikona, because the root trine is where the planet gets, is the planet's natural first house, okay, and where it gets its energy. So what you do is, when you want to read a planet that way, you count how many houses Venus resides from Libra, and this will give you a lot of insight into how Venus behaves, which I'll give examples of in these little videos. So in addition, a planet can be examined by how many houses counted from its placement to its feminine sign. This is in addition to counting from the Moolatrikona to the planet. Then you count from the planet to its feminine sign or to its own sign. Okay? Now the masculine or Moolatrikona sign initiates the energy, and the feminine sign or the own sign receives the energy of a planet. And that's how energy is moving through the zodiac in all kinds of different ways. And this is one of the ways that it moves through. Or you can put it another way, the house placement from Libra is an aspect of Venus it wants to express. And the house placement of Taurus, which is the feminine sign of Venus, is how Venus goes about fulfilling that desire that comes from Libra. Okay? So Venus is the ruler of the natural second and seventh houses, Taurus and Libra. The second house is worth, and the seventh house is desire. The ultimate desire being for the other or for a romantic partner. Now, thus, Venus rules desires and the choices we make to obtain those desires. Venus also rules weighing what is worthwhile in order to obtain what is desired. Now, Libra, the Moolatrikona sign of Venus, is represented by the scales. And when Venus is afflicted in a chart, the person makes poor decisions that take them down a path they don't want to go. And where the amount that they must give up is not worth what they receive or what they think they will receive. There is more than one name given for Venus in the classical texts. Shukra is the most common, and it means bright white. Venus is also Kritajna, or knowledgeable in contact. Thus, Venus rules manners and politeness. Manners are necessary to navigate the world of others and have one's desires fulfilled. Okay, and Dinavegya means offering to the miserable, and is another name for Venus. Whatever is offered to the miserable is to make them more comfortable. Thus, Venus rules all comforts, nursing, and therapy. Venus also rules upayas, or remedies for afflictions in the chart. Okay, so what you can do to make your worldly life better, using some mantras, planetary mantras, Venus rules those things. If you're fasting, if you're making offerings, Venus rules all of that. Okay, keep all that Venus represents in mind while evaluating its effects in the signs. Okay, so the signs in which Venus is deposited, in addition to its position to the Moolatrikona, will color and control all the effects of Venus within the horoscope. So so that's the introduction. And now I'm going to move on to Venus through the signs. Okay, so Venus in Libra. Now, Libra is the natural first house of Venus, and the first house is our self-esteem. So a Venus in Libra person will have a lot of confidence in dealing with other people, and especially romantic partners, unless Venus is afflicted to some other, something else, like Lajatati Avastas or something like that. Venus in Libra will initiate its Venetian energy through partnership, relation, making choices, and comforting and nurturing, through their body language and their personal charisma. Okay, that's how they will initiate their Venetian energy. The native is polite, charming, well-mannered, and gives good advice and has a soothing and comforting demeanor. Okay. Venus and Libra people. Now, Taurus. Taurus is Venus's feminine sign, or its own sign, and it is 8 houses or 8 signs away from Libra. The 8th house has to do with major changes, so the affections of a Venus and Libra person may change unexpectedly. As an example, I just got finished reading a bunch of books. Well, not a bunch, 3, but just got finished reading a bunch of books about Ted Hughes, Sylvia Plath, and his mistresses, and how he would just move from one woman to another, and he couldn't make up his mind about a few different women. And he's a classic example of a Venus and Libra person. And he was a great English poet, if you don't know who he is. He was married to Sylvia Plath, who unfortunately committed suicide. He had left her for another woman. So that's kind of an idea of what Venus and Libra, their affections can change. Okay, they can go through major upheavals in their love life. And a Venus and Libra person is very confident in dealing with the opposite sex or their love interests. The person can also pursue their love interests through mysterious, hidden, and taboo channels, which is also 8th house, okay? And this is because, like I was explaining before, the energy begins with Libra, and it goes to wherever Venus is. In this case, Venus is in Libra. So it's 1st house significations, but then the energy travels from the planet to its feminine sign, which is Taurus. That's 8 houses or 8 signs away. So it gives a lot of 8th house connotations, a Venus and Libra person, okay? Now, 8th house also rules other people's resources, especially the partner's resources. So a Venus and Libra person will want to be with someone who can serve to benefit them in some way through their possessions, through their property, through their resources, through their wealth, things like that, okay? A man with Venus in Libra will often get a girlfriend or a wife who has a less than stellar relationship with her father. And can you try to guess why this is? It's because in a man's chart, Venus represents the wife or the girlfriend. And so where is the father, the signification of the father, debilitated? The sun is debilitated in Libra. So when a man has Venus in Libra, his wife or girlfriend may have problems with her father, okay? Or may have not a very good relationship with him, or he may not be in her life, or, what have you. But Saturn is exalted in Libra. So the wife or girlfriend of a man with a Venus in Libra will have a girlfriend who does very well with subordinates, people who are underneath her if she's the boss, people she hires to work in her house or do, manual labor in the house or outside in the landscape or things like that. She'll have really good rapport with these people, and they are very happy to work for and things like that. So that's a little different than what you're used to, the typical Venus in Libra. And I'll be doing the rest of the signs as well. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.